Not him, but his office. You're on.
He's not my favorite, so.
Bob, on June 15th, we met in executive session as required by, or as prescribed by Florida Statute 447.09, subsection 1. Presented your counter proposal of June 2015. The City Commission provided direction to the bargaining team, and in presenting this final offer to the union, we're going to counter propose on some sections of this letter for purposes of discussion. Our original offer of April 30th, 2015, with the exceptions of items 2E, 2G, 3, and the attached letter, remain as originally presented. With that, item 2E, we have inserted pay ranges as was presented by the union during our meeting of June 8th. So starting pay ranges. Item 2G, we've included the original proposed language regarding pay wages beyond October 1st, 2015 and 16, specifically related to the 3% wage increase. We've also offered alternative language which ties it to the City Commission's acceptance of the comprehensive annual financial report. In section 3, we accept the union's counter proposal to Article 23 arbitration. However, we have inserted a counter proposed language to the end of section 23.6 and a reopener clause in 23.1. With that, I'll turn it over to you for questions.
Okay.
And I would like to clarify, we do have a draft 3-year agreement. However, our letter has been out of the office on travel in hopes of reaching a tentative agreement. And today we can provide that to them and get that out there and bring that out.
Did I hear you correctly? This is the city's final offer. As of the shade meeting? Yes. And I could assume that the city considering counter proposals?
I think we're hoping to see what you have to say here at the table today and see if we can reach a tentative agreement today. So.
Just, I'm going to let Joel and Gary speak to the 20% language, the 20% reserve. They have some questions they wanted to ask. I wanted to just skip to the arbitration article real quick. 23.9 says, in the event the city becomes dissatisfied with the arbitration process as it relates to employee discipline, it may reopen this article with 30 days of written notice to the union. Dissatisfied, how do you define dissatisfied? What is the acid test for dissatisfied?
I think if we feel like it's being abused, and certainly we can work on specific criteria of what dissatisfied may mean today.
We, you, or the commission?
Me and you.
No, I mean, who would feel, would the commission say we're dissatisfied with then going to arbitration, or would it be administrative?
We would, it would be the administration.
Is there criteria though for what would dissatisfy?
We have not really identified specifically who would be dissatisfied. I think with every time that we have a situation that goes to a matter of arbitration, get right to it. I think we can certainly have a concern and an issue with that. I will note for the record that that's not ever been a problem with the union. We hope that going forward, it doesn't ever become a problem.
The way this language is, if we file for arbitration, someone doesn't like the arbitration on its face, they can reopen this article in 30 days and take away our ability to arbitrate from there on out. It's kind of like having a gun with a bullet in it, but if we use that bullet, you take the gun away.
What do you propose?
I think we really need to understand what you mean by dissatisfied. I mean, if you have an employee on a videotape in a store slapping somebody, and we take the case to arbitration, yes, I would think that we are abusing our right to arbitrate because the person's obviously guilty. But in a situation where, especially in an agency where there's never been an arbitration in, what, 14 years, I don't see how we could even possibly abuse it unless it was something like I just explained, a gross violation where there's no doubt. So I think in order for us to be able to sleep at night, we need some criteria for what you would deem as abusive to the article.
We can certainly go back and quantify that. That's not a problem from this perspective. If we want it to be gross violation, we can certainly work on some language. I think that in our previous conversations, as we've talked about CPP discipline and what's considered gross negligence or what would qualify for a written reprimand. There's no certain way that we could identify every potential situation that may develop.
Right.
But I mean, if you have something that you would like to propose here at the table, we can certainly entertain that here, or we can go back and expand what is considered to be
Well, what would the city consider abusive?
I think that's what he's trying to say. I'm not sure they have it.
yeah, we have not defined. I'm not
Is
very sure.
this Reynolds doing or you guys?
That's language that's proposed by the attorneys. And we'll get him to expand on that.
So there's one thing that you, John, in both your remarks and in your letter to Bob, Dave, and Dwight, that you need to read these. You wrote under number 3, we will accept the counter proposal to Article 23. It was a proposal we had made in a meeting, I think it was June 5th. June 8th. I hope you understand that that proposal we gave you was a package proposal. You didn't get to select what you like and what you don't. So it was all or nothing. So our proposal in arbitration, our agreement to limit back pay, for example, our limit to truncate the period for the arbitration. That was all subject to acceptance of all the other terms we identified in the proposal. So to say you accept our proposal, it was the acceptance of that proposal was conditional on acceptance of the rest of the proposal in that document we provided on June 8th. I just want to point that out for the record, not that it's a big bone of contention.
Most of that, I made some additional notes. Article 5, status quo, now expired agreement. We agreed at the table that would be language that we would include in the next contract. We had no problem with that. Article 12, status quo with the now expired agreement, notification of employees that are no longer represented by the collective bargaining agreement or no longer employed with the city.
Again, all subject to the acceptance of our package proposals. And so to say that we have any agreement on any particular proposal, I think that's overshooting the runway because it was a package proposal. But having said that, I'm sure that we can at least discuss some of these things now. I wanted to, aside from this reopener language and arbitration provision, I did want to talk to you about the time periods for holding hearings in arbitration. I'll note under Article 23, I got it, under A, you wrote, or someone wrote, I guess Alan wrote, within 90 and then under, in parentheses, 60 days.
Maybe a typo. We agreed to,
I thought we discussed 90.
no, that's just a typo.
Okay. That's good. Okay, and did we discuss the 30?
Yes.
We did. No, actually, we discussed 60.
Was it 6?
But I think it's really optimistic and ambitious to think we can get a second hearing within 30 days.
Grab my notes real quick.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
acres. Back in the fifties, we sold them on tax sales. Control which came out by Senate animated or something. That's what it says. The guy bought it also pulled out. Expanded their back.
Paul?
I don't like that.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's been back, and it's back to file the registry.
I noted your original offer was 90 days and 60 days, and then at the table, we changed it to 60 days and 30 days.
I remember we got shorter and shorter with the time frames,
I thought we started out with
We started out at 120.
you got right. So,
but we did.
I know we did, we went down from 120 to 90. What I don't remember is us going down from 60 to 30, 'cause I can tell you, and well, you guys don't have that much arbitration experience here, probably, thankfully.
Yes.
But I have quite a bit. And trying to get witnesses corralled, and arbitrator corralled, and attorneys corralled during a 30-day period is hard as hell. 60, I think, is more.
90 and 60?
90 and 60. Now,
I do think that topic speaks to the potential for dissatisfaction should it become, if an arbitration were to get dragged out and it to be perceived by administration that it's being dragged out purposefully, that's where I think a sense of dissatisfaction could come in. So those dates are very important. I think it's very important that we're reasonable about what those timeframes are.
and I think that 90 and 60
To me,
days
that would be
is
the type of
enough.
dissatisfaction that I don't know that there is a specific example, but I would think that would be.
Dealing with arbitrators, like we do often, you call an arbitrator today, say Sergeant Kettle was fired today, and we called an arbitrator, he'd go, how does February 4th sound? That's the way they are,
Right.
because they're booked solid. So you're gonna have to work within sometimes their time constraints.
And what we might also need to consider, and I think we did discuss this. Maybe you addressed it. I thought we had discussed, the situation that Bob's describing. We call them FCS, they give us a panel. Reynolds, Allen, and I strike the panel, we come up with arbitrator A. Arbitrator A says, sorry fellas, I'm not available until 6 months from now. Well, do we then restrike the panel? We need to have some kind of procedure in place for that potential. And it would be fairly simple to write it in. I can't come up with language off right here off the top of my head, but maybe going back to the same panel we had before and restriking, maybe asking for a new panel for FMCS, etc.
How about language, something, the extensions to the 90-day selection period may be granted upon mutual acceptance and agreement of both parties, something like that.
We could do that, but I in a way, I hate to do that since we're at least discussing the possibility of limiting back pay to 120 days. I want this arbitration to happen sooner rather than later.
And we do too.
So I don't want to have some mechanism by which it's extended for any period of time, so that in the event my client's reinstated, while he's been out of work for 7 months, he's limited to 6 months of back pay. Anyhow, I think that's something we can at least. What we spoke of when we met privately the last time, and I think it's something we need to address, not necessarily today, at the specific language, but we need to address before this thing reaches finality, if it reaches finality. Does that sound fair?
Do you want to propose specific language? Or
Well,
do you want us to
I'm
propose-
trying to think of what would be really workable. I mean, what we could do is what we could do is restrike the panel. If arbitrator A can't do it within the allotted time period, then we restrike the panel. And we they initially give us 6 arbitrators, if memory serves, maybe it's 8. We then strike with a lesser panel with arbitrator A excluded, and then go down the list from there. That's potential. I'm not in love with it, but it's better than extending out the time periods for the arbitration. The alternative is we could ask for another panel for FMCS, which they usually have a very quick 10-day turnaround time for memory serves. That might be the better solution. Restrike the panel, strike that panel, and then hope that that arbitrator that's eventually selected is able to work within our time deadlines. In the event that doesn't work, then perhaps we discuss language that would extend out the 90 by 30 days. But I like to have some kind of stopgap measure in place before we look to extending out the time for arbitration.
So strike the panel, ask for another panel. Is that constrained, you said to 10 days?
Well, the FMCS usually turns it around. So if we learn if we learn that arbitrator A can't handle it, either side, both sides could ask FMCS for another panel. Usually we get it in 10 days, and then we set forth a time deadline by which the parties must strike that panel. To say within 2-3 business days of receipt of the panel from FMCS, the parties council will confer to strike the panel. If that arbitrator is then not available, we will extend out within the time period that we referenced. We will extend out the time period, the time period for the first arbitration hearing to, let's say, 30 days, and hopefully that cures the problem. It's kind of it's probably something that I need to put a little bit more thought into and start tracking before I start spouting off to see what I think is ultimately going to be workable.
Well, in the spirit of me here at the table, what came to my mind is if we start the panel, ask for another panel, maybe some sort of language that grants a day-for-day extension until that panel the list of names is provided for that panel, not to exceed maybe 2 days, something like that. And then another layer that says extensions beyond that, which usually upon by both parties. I'm just off the cuff.
So what happens in the event that both parties don't agree? Then does the agreements die? That's certainly not going to be acceptable.
No.
That's why I would love to be able to reach agreement on the table on language, but the trouble is, we can sit here and come up with great language. Well, the trouble is, will it work in reality? And that's a question I can't answer right now. And I can certainly talk to Bob and our colleagues and caucus it. I just don't know that that discussion would lead to anything that we could sign off on today.
From my experience, from terminated employee to arbitration, the quickest I've ever seen is about 7 months. It's just the way it is. Just going through the steps. You go through your step 1, your step 2, your hearing. Then you go to the last phase of the discipline is contacting the FMCS, getting panels, striking panels. If you don't like a panel and I don't like a panel, we have to fill out a form that tells FMCS we don't like these panels, we mutually agreed upon, we need another panel. So you're talking days that tick off into like a month or 2 right there. So it's not a quick process no matter what.
We understand that.
But
if you have language like that, I can certainly have.
The purpose of this provision is to light fires under both sides.
Sure.
And to keep the back pay to a minimum, so that this is an agency that claimed they were hurt by an arbitration capacity.
I see. I understand what you're saying. The best I can say is, I like the fact that we're discussing it at the table. I just don't know that we're going to be able to reach an agreement that we might regret tomorrow because we haven't thought about all the practicalities and eventualities attending all the arbitrations. Because you have the schedule for the attorneys, the schedule of the arbitrator. I like the idea of implanting some type of deadline for striking the panel in the first instance. That's not all there already, is it? Yeah, you're right. And the idea of implanting some, a similar deadline, if there was a second panel to be stricken, a similar deadline. But, now why don't we move on to other matters and circle back to this if in a moment. Maybe in the meantime, I'll come up with some idea that can serve us all well. Now, you said, I think, that that a previous proposal of the city would remain in place, with the exceptions being what's articulated in your July 7th letter. And you said that was an April 30th proposal?
That's correct.
Do you have a copy of April 30th proposal at hand?
Printing. The language, other than what's provided here in 2B, 2G, and 3 is exactly the same.
Well, it's not in here. He said it during his opening remarks.
So, I mean, we can kind of go down, we won't seek to oppose the evergreen rates, not seek merit-based pay, eliminate service bonus. However, employees who have received or are eligible to receive the service bonus will have bonus at the first rate added to their hourly rate. After the service bonus is added, 5% will be added to the wage rate of each part of the employee effective, retroactive to October 1st, 2014. October 2015 and 2016, upon approval of commission, 3% will be added to the hourly rate of each employee. We did have a provision in G, which would allow the union to reopen if that wasn't done by August 1st, 2015. 2016, the union had expressed their concern when we met on June 8th. You had presented a proposal that tied wage increases to increases in taxable value. Certainly the city is not acceptable to that.
Why is that?
As we talked about when we last met, I mean, a 2% growth, for instance, in the city's taxable value may yield, in this particular case, $100,000. So providing a guarantee based upon an increase to the employees based upon a $100,000 increase in revenue is just not something that the city commission is comfortable with. We've had some discussions in the past about tying that to fund balance, and as a performance measure, the commission has been very clear all the way through this that they want to tie it to a 20% fund balance. So we have provided that as an alternative to our original proposal if the union would find that acceptable.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Walk us through that process. Now, your 20% fund balance is a percentage that is a policy of the council, or is that in your charter?
It's a policy of the city.
It's a policy of the council. Walk me through the process. Like this year, I think the property values are up 4%, 4.5%, 5%.
No, about 3%, 2.6%.
So 3%. So I just kind of, so I can wrap my brain around it, walk me through the process where, how I think it would work. You have millage, you have your property value, total property value, come up with a pot of money. 20% of that pot of money is put in you call it unassigned or whatever the word you use, but it's a reserve fund.
It's a reserve fund, that's right.
Same thing as Edgewater uses, it's just a different vernacular. So that pot of money that you get from all your taxable property in Longwood, you take 20% of that and you keep that in the fund, correct?
That's not correct.
So make me understand that.
You levy taxes, you have other revenue sources that come in, you have operating expenses that occur throughout the year. Your income minus your outflows, you're left over with a pot of money. That pot of money is, in the private world, would be profit, right? For simpler terms.
Correct.
That becomes either equity in the business or working capital or fund balance. So that number is calculated on an annual basis when the auditors come in and do their annual audit, and that's where that number is tied to.
But that's the same line of thing I'm thinking, because you know what your operating costs for the year, things come up, and that's why you need a reserve fund or an assigned fund, whatever you want to call it. So I'm thinking the same way you are, just different way to get there.
But you don't take it right from the beginning, you don't levy $4 million.
Right, you don't take it from your gross,
Right.
you take it from the net, just like any business would. So, I think we're concerned about, how can that can be adjusted. Let's say you have people running for re-election and you're at 3% and they want to roll back 3%. Well, that can affect that bottom line of that net. So how can these officers feel as though that, if somebody gets in there pounding the table, like, well, we're going to roll back. We went up 3% because he says he can do the same amount of work, pay all the bills with 3% less because our property, that same pot of money you used last fiscal year, I think you can do it, John, do it this year with the same amount of money. You see what I'm thinking?
Yeah, that's your-
So really,
So you're leaving it up to commissioners on these guys' raises when they want to maybe look good to the people. I mean, we do live off of Ronald Reagan Boulevard here.
The same thing would apply to your original proposal of tying it to taxable value.
Right.
It was tied with the growth, so if, for whatever reason, there is a move out there to lower the millage rate from one year to the next, that is still left up to the decision of the commissioners.
Well,
I make a recommendation, I don't think you should lower the millage rate.
What
In
is your
fact, I think
recommendation right now?
to stay alive at our current millage rate of 5.5, which, given our growth, would probably give us about $111,000.
But they're doing like I'm doing in Edgewater. I'm picking apart that budget. Send it to me electronically. They give me the wish list. We had that first meeting. We want a new dump truck, new ambulance, $250,000. We need this, we need that. And now electronically they send me the budget. I'm going to meet with the finance director and explain all this. So,
I mean, we could, I know the concern, and in fact, from one year to the next, one elected official to another, their decision to keep that 20% can change. That could go to 25%. That could actually go to 15%. We could get impacted by a major natural disaster or
Absolutely.
some unforeseen circumstance that drives that number way down.
the sewer plant closed up.
Yeah, certainly, well, we don't have one of those things.
Well,
Yeah, I understand.
all those unexpected things would happen. But
So-
see, my line of thinking was, and I know they're not going to agree with it, the property values raised in Longwood. Well, these guys are one of the reasons why. Crime goes down, public safety, fire service is the reason why. It's a good place to live. People come here, businesses invest because of crime rate, all those things. So I tie it to the property value because they might have a little bit to do with that. You do, she does, everybody should get a piece of the pie because I might have a little reason why the property values go up. That's the reason my line of thinking was.
And, I understand. I think we're all trying to get to that same, how do we provide that trigger?
Right.
What is that trigger? And from this side of the table, or even this side of the table, there's still some major uncertainty and volatility in those revenue projections. As we know, the legislative session the special session just concluded, and I think there were some tax credits that were going to have an impact on all of our communication service taxes. To what extent, we don't know that. So the $111,000 increase in taxable value that the city is getting this year could be negated by a $200,000 decrease in communication service tax.
so if there's so much uncertainty, why are we talking about a 3-year agreement? Really, you're offering us an illusory raise. It could happen and it could not, and the capper is, if it doesn't, we're allowed to reopen wages, but you're allowed to reopen whatever the heck you want. To include health insurance, to include arbitration provision, to include everything in between. So it feels almost punitive, really, and that's what we're having difficulty wrapping our heads around.
Personally, I think our originally proposed language was the best language. I can sit here and tell you that we are working on the budget and moving towards holding that workshop on the 27th of July, and we were walking in the door when we present a 3% wage increase. That falls right in line with what we proposed, what we did last year. Obviously, if we felt like we could get 5, we would walk in the door and present that 5. We will have, some sort of understanding and guarantee from that process that occurs prior to the adoption of the budget. So if you want to limit the number of articles that we can open, based upon if you can only open one, we can only open one, we'll do that.
just the trouble is that,
I don't think you're, I don't mean to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
I don't think you're ever gonna get, a guaranteed trigger. Like, there's always going to want to be some sort of oversight from the city. You're at,
I've done it elsewhere.
words in your mouth. I gotta believe that city council in Edgewater would want some sort of ability and oversight. We just don't know what happens.
I change hats very well.
Yeah, I know.
May I speak to my brother in an air-conditioned place?
No.
One, real quick, John, before, you and I spoke about 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. I initially thought you said that K-9 was going to receive 5%. You're saying that is not the case now?
We're proceeding with the original language. I think Joel hit it pretty well that you guys have presented a package offer. We're here with a package offer. If we can reach some sort of tentative agreement today, we're willing to have that negotiation.
K-9 was part of the package.
So, are you saying you're agreeing to
Well, one of the parts.
counter proposals?
John, I'm a little confused, because I have your April 30th letter, and I have attached to it a proposed CBA, but the day at the bottom doesn't suggest it has anything to do with the April 30th letter. So would you, I'm not sure if I have the right proposed agreement, would you mind printing a copy of that for me? The proposed CBA that went along with your April 30th letter?
What, show me what you're referring to.
Here I've got. I've got this letter from you. And this is the attachment. And I don't think that's the right one. Look down at the bottom.
That is a number that Mr. Allen uses for whatever.
I thought it was a page.
But I'll double check and make sure it's.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's their filing system and numbering.
Okay. So, yeah, if you could verify that I'm looking at the right thing, that'd be really, really helpful. Just based upon my squiggly lines, it looks like it is the right one. All right. Hang on a minute here.
Yeah, we're going.